What if your life was an invitation and everything wasn't just happening to you, but through you? When you start to believe in the magic of you, you become it. This is your invitation to heal and rise above into the fullest expression of you. This is the Liz Svatek Show, and your transformation starts now. Let's begin.
Welcome to the Liz Svatek Show. Today's guest brings the perfect blend of color, consciousness, and a cosmic perspective to this show. So today, Dougall Fraser is here. He is an internationally recognized psychic, author, and cosmic coach who uses color therapy, clairvoyance, and practical guidance to help people assess and achieve their dreams. He has been featured everywhere, from Dr. Phil to Dancing with the Stars to The Real Housewives of the OC. He even took the stage at Own You, Oprah's live event series. But beyond the spotlight, Dougall has an extraordinary gift. He sees and translates color as energy, each shade revealing something profound about our emotions, our intentions, and our spiritual evolution. So today we're going to go deep diving with this vibrational language of color. I'm so excited about this, Dougall, and how it reflects who we are and how it can heal and how it can create a life of alignment, abundance, and authenticity. So welcome to the show, Dougall.
Thank you, Liz. What a nice intro. I really appreciate that.
Well, we met at a game night.
We did.
Literally, I felt like you were like my star-crossed boyfriend across the room. You were making like some funny comments and some different things. I mean, I was like, who's that over there? Who's that?
I get a little nervous at game nights because sometimes people get very intense. So if people start getting intense, like the sarcastic part of me starts to bubble up just a smidge.
Oh, I love it. That part of you was my favorite part of you. So I want to kind of get to know you better because I didn't even know what you did. This is so funny. When I met you, I had no clue what you did or anything. And then I think I had like do you have an oracle deck? You do, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so then Kat, our good friend Kat Career-Williams, says to me, well, Dougall, and I look on my desk and Dougall, your damn oracle cards are on my damn deck.
Stop, really?
And on my desk. And I'm like, oh my God, I've had this here the whole time. And I didn't even know that was you. So I was like, oh my God. Then I was like, Kat, I need his number. I got to get him on this podcast, right? So this is too much synchronicity to not happen, right? Tell me a little bit, because I'm so fascinated by someone who gets into the line of work, right? Was this something that you kind of had as a child? Was it something you developed over time? Like, how did you start first getting in touch with this gift?
So essentially, I don't really believe that it's a gift because I think everyone has intuition. The difference between my life and maybe somebody else's is that I had a mother that encouraged me to talk about it. So when I was a child, my parents used to say that by the time I was speaking, I would talk about seeing colors around people and hearing voices. And my mother was delighted and like burying crystals in the backyard and like taking me to her trance channeler. My dad was like, we have a festive one, and immediately sent me to therapy. My wife took me to a doctor to get my eyes checked. So there was a very balanced sort of thing here from the traditional scientific perspective and the intuitive perspective. And so it was just never, my mother never said it's your imaginary friend. She believed that it was my guardian angel and my spirit guides. And they I bought my first deck of tarot cards when I was 8 years old and like would pull cards for my grandmother and be like, you have a drinking problem. Like I was just constantly interested in intuition. But to get serious for a second, it's also sort of born from pain. Like when I was 8, my sister, who was 8 years older, was diagnosed with leukemia. So having cancer and the possibility of her passing in transition was like a theme in the house. So I found a book on near-death experiences and I did a book report in school. Everybody's talking about like their favorite football player or their like favorite musician. And I get up and I'm like, did you know people that die report seeing a light at the end of the tunnel? And my teacher at the time was like, no. So the idea of spirituality was just sort of always a part of my life. I'm also a sexual abuse survivor. So decoding what environments were safe for me was really important. And being able to predict sort of someone's intentions beyond what they were saying. But it was really always a hobby. I mean, I did work for the Psychic Friends Network. We all have a past. But when
Stop it!
I did, I was extension 4257.
I'm dying right now, Dougall. Dying. Okay. 4257.
I literally, I just thought it was going to be a hobby. But then when I was 20 years old, I was living in Dallas, Texas, and I got selected the best psychic in Dallas, and they wrote an article about me. And it went from like, 3 readings a month to like 6 a day with a 6-month waiting list. And that's when I realized the universe didn't just want this to be a hobby, but it was supposed to be more of a vocation for me.
Wow. I don't even know what to say after everything you just said.
I know there's a lot to unpack here.
That
I
is
speak
so
quickly.
incredible. I mean, first of all, as a coach, I deal with a lot of like trauma. In fact, I was just doing a podcast with a healer, breathwork shaman friend of mine, Vaughn, who is a unicorn, extraterrestrial person. I love her. And I was telling her how I have this X-ray vision where I can see a trauma response in somebody and how they're living in that trauma response. And that's not them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm very curious, like, well, if that's not you, then God knows I don't know who is, because whoever this is talking to me right now is not you, right?
Right.
So what's so interesting to me is that I don't get that read from you. I don't get that at all. And so when you're telling me like I'm a survivor, a sexual abuse survivor, and I've actually used this, not gift, but this way that I'm living, that this, what would you call it? If you don't call it a gift, what would you call it?
Just an ability.
Okay, this ability that I have, but I used it to also be more intuitive about like who's coming at me or who should I allow in.
Right.
That is so interesting to me.
But so I love trauma, which is a weird thing to say.
I love you right now.
I love trauma work. And so one of the things that I had to discover, Liz, is that in the beginning of my life, I was using my intuition as a trauma response.
That was going to be my next question. Yes.
Yeah. If I could go to a party, and this is what I used to do when I would socialize, is I would bring tarot cards and I would do readings for people and I would focus on everybody else's pain. It was a way for me to connect with people, but it was also a way for me to distract people from my pain. And so earlier in my career, I was really good at picking up on issues in your life and making some predictions. But when I look back now, it was really sort of surface, and I wasn't actually sort of living a spiritual, authentic life. I was severely overweight. I was in debt. I was still in the closet. I wasn't having any relationships, but I'm giving all this relationship advice to people.
100%.
Which is inauthentic. So I had to start doing really deep work for myself. And it probably wasn't until my late 20s that I realized my spiritual path was very different from my intuitive path. And they certainly overlap, but the work got deeper when I started incorporating coaching and teaching.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to give myself permission to identify as a spiritual teacher. That felt like a really, I'm a big believer we can be the student and the teacher at the same time.
Yes.
But I had this projection that everything had to be healed. And if I'm going to wait for everything to have to be healed, we're going to be on a long day.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
all of us.
Right. And in the New Age community and all you woo-woo people listening, I love you. But, and I say we collectively because I've done this before, we cannot use I'm an empath as an excuse for what is really a trauma response, that I don't know how to manage my energy, and I don't know, we can't blame other people's energy on our challenges. And I used to do that for years. Like, I can't come to your party, Liz, I'm an empath. And I can't go on that trip because I'm an empath. That's bull. I can't go on that trip because I don't know how to manage my energy, and I need to choose how to manage my energy differently so I can live a thriving life. So I used the ego of being an intuitive and the ego of being a psychic. I used to burp and shake my head and all of these things to say that, oh, my energy is so big, when really I was an anxious person not knowing how to find my center or really calm my nervous system. And I've really worked hard on that.
Well, that's first of all, thank you for sharing that, because that's such a nuance, and that's something I'm really like interested in. I love that you say student and teacher. This is something I teach too, is that you can be in the student seat, which can be very humbling and can be very vulnerable, especially when you feel like you've done a ton of work and you've done all the things and you feel like, oh my God, how am I here again? But it's an interesting place to be when you embrace that you can be both, that you can be in the middle of something and you can lead from the bench, as Abby Wambach says, that you can be in that place where I'm in the student seat again, and I'm not going to feel bad about it or feel shame about it. It's more like I'm in a curiosity, and I'm going to actually teach from here also. So I love that you embrace both of that. That's I love that. When you were talking about going to a party and all the things, this is so funny. So I'm a we don't know each other at all. So this is really
Right. Yeah.
I'm a rapid transformational therapist.
Hmm.
So do you know what that is?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's a blend of hypnotherapy meets 5 years of traditional therapy. Like,
Cool.
I basically don't believe anybody needs to go to therapy anymore because they can do this rapid transformational therapy where I help you heal that trauma response and let go of old things, and we do a whole healing. And so I had this client that was like, I feel really good. I'm gonna go see my mother. I said, oh my God, amazing. You're gonna go see your mother. This is a very hard relationship for her. She's like, so what I'm doing is first I'm gonna light a candle, and then I'm gonna do a meditation. And then after I light the candle, I'm gonna clap 3 times, and then I'm gonna go outside the door and I'm gonna burn sage. Now, then when I get in the car, I'm gonna make sure that the clock is at exactly 4:44. And then I'm going to do another meditation. And I said, or you can do a rapid transformational therapy session.
Right.
Because you're right. Like when you're having to burp and shake and and like do all these things, right, just to be safe.
Right.
It's such an indicator, right? Of like, oh God, there's something going on. You're in that trauma response. So I love that you're highlighting that. And I love that you knew that about yourself and was like, wait, like that's like,
and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with ritual. Like I love ritual. You know, if it's Thanksgiving, I scent the table different. If it's date night, I dress differently. There's nothing wrong with ritual. But when ritual becomes a mask for, you know, being dysregulated, we just have to be honest with ourselves about that. And, you know, that was my big thing, Liz. I have been a devotee of metaphysics and spirituality for years. I loved psychics, I loved channeling, and I've been blessed to share the stage with like world-renowned teachers.
Incredible.
And let me just give everybody a little bit of a secret. You get backstage, and these spiritual teachers, that shadow side is coming out to dance and to party. I have seen spiritual teachers throw water bottles against the wall because their car didn't come on time. I've seen people burst into tears because their name wasn't in the lineup first. And I got to a point where at first I was really disheartened by that. Yeah. Because I believed, oh, if I just follow this path, I'll get to a point where I don't have any self-criticism and I never get triggered. And that just hasn't been my response. People get triggered. And I'm telling you right now, the best spiritual teachers out there, we all get triggered.
Yeah.
The difference is I try to share that. Like when I walk on stage, I can't hold a bottle of water because my hand is probably going to shake. And if my hand is shaking, I show everybody, I'm like, oh my God, you guys, my hand is shaking. That's great. And so it's like and then that's when I got really deep into shadow work as well. Like I wanted to embrace my shadow. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to have an intimate relationship with it rather than running away from it because I tried way too long to run away from it.
Well, I just think you're fucking amazing. I'm so excited about this. Okay, well, now I want to ask you something else. I want to ask you about this kind of color consciousness because you've said that color is one of the most powerful energetic tools. Color is an energetic tool. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I've never even heard of this. Like, this is so exciting to me.
But you do. You do. I mean, you use color in your branding. And, you know, that's why I'm wearing pink for you today. I was like, she loves pink. We're going to dive into pink. You know, and we've been doing it for ages. For me, when I see color on people in the beginning, it was just sort of like, you know, the scientific community would say that I have synesthesia, which is 2 senses in the brain overlap. If I hear someone's voice, that's when I see color. It's the only way I see it. I actually have to hear the sound of your voice.
Wow.
And so in the beginning, it was just like, you have green around you, like, that'll be $15. Thank you. Like, I didn't understand that. But I started like absorbing information and studying and watching people and learning different personality types. And then what came from that, which is really, really cool, is that most metaphysical systems are fixed. So like I'm a Taurus with a 6 life path that's never going to change. I'm always going to be that. But I would see people with this emerald green at parties who are like outgoing and communicating and telling stories and authors and writers and poets, and I am totally shy. So I would start meditating with green to invoke that personality type, to give myself permission to be more outgoing, or purple to be a leader, or pink if I need self-love because it's a really nourishing color. So color became descriptive for me. Oh, if you want to be self-employed, why don't you start working with gold? And I started giving people color as a tool.
Wow.
To sort of become like a chameleon. You can change your energy and your vibration from clothing to visualization to crystals, whatever you want, just to invoke a different kind of energy.
Well, that is so interesting. So what you actually see when you look at someone, right? Like,
To listen. Yeah.
okay, so you listen. So you
Yeah.
listen and then you can, so right now, do you see
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. So normally I ask people to say their name 3 times, which everyone takes very, very seriously. And they're like, do you want my birth name or my nickname? You could say Scooby Scooby Doo. It doesn't matter. I want you to say your name because I'm terrible with names. So if I say in the middle of a reading, say your name 3 times for me, it's purely because I've forgotten your name. There's really
I love this.
So when you speak, there's one color that's sort of hard for me to describe. Sometimes I call it mint green, sometimes I call it light green or electric green because it's actually one of the other colors that I can hear. There's like a buzzing sound to it. Mint green is considered the color of enthusiasm or like a playful state of mind. Oftentimes you'll see mint green around kids that are like giggling on a playground because it's like enthusiasm, it's excitement.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting shadow aspect of green because every color has a shadow side. So the shadow aspect of green usually is about the pressure to make other people feel good. If someone has light green or mint green around them, one of the questions I always ask is, in childhood, did someone suffer from depression or have anxiety? And did you feel like it was your responsibility to sort of raise the vibration or make them smile,
Yeah.
almost to like a performance perspective?
Oh, 100%.
And now as an adult, one of the things you're doing really, really well with is if somebody is in need, your first response, you have a helper that's like, dun, da, 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 like comes straight to the surface. But you've become really good at being selective with that. Like sometimes I engage if somebody needs help and I don't always have to raise the vibration of the room.
Yes.
Because one of the things a mint green or electric green person has to be really cautious of is not exhausting themselves.
100%.
Also for you, the combination of exercise and meditation at the same time would be really, really powerful because I'm not sure just sitting in meditation would be enough because I feel like your body has so much energy in it, or just doing exercise would be enough. But the combination of mindful exercise at the same time is a particularly good sweet spot for you. But that's the color I see when you talk.
Mint or electric or one of the guys.
Electric green is usually what I
Electric green. Okay, that's so interesting. Well, first of all, yes. I mean, you don't know this because you haven't read my book, but I absolutely do detail how I lived in a very abusive household. And so I was trying to be the comedian and like dance as fast as I can. And like my mother like was unhappy. And so I was trying to make her happy. And so there was a lot of performing and I had to really learn to not be the rescuer of like clients and things and not be so responsive to every little thing. Cause I want to help. I want to, I want to jump right in. And it's so funny because I was just telling someone, Dougall, I said, you know what I found about myself? I really love lifting weights while listening to a book.
Yeah.
I really love being in my sauna while listening to my RTT recording.
Yeah.
I really love going and walking with my walking meditation. Like it is so true. But my mind was saying, I like the pairing of things.
Exactly.
But what's funny is you're describing it a little bit differently. Like I'm just kind of offloading that energy a little bit, having that. So I love that. It's 100% right.
Thank you.
100%. Of course you are. What colors usually show up for people who are at the verge of a major transformation or awakening? Is that something that happens?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of transformation and awakening. If someone's having an emotional transformation or awakening, I see this like deep ruby red. And what I love about ruby red is it's the emotional exchange we have with people. So it's a great color for empaths if you're listening, because empaths give too much and don't know how to receive. But essentially, it's the energy exchange we have for someone. So if that energy starts to get bigger, because your aura will change in shape and size depending on the topic, that's how we know there's like an emotional awakening coming up. Having said that, though, that emotional awakening also comes with tremendous vulnerability.
Oh, God, yes.
Anybody listening to this right now, whether you're sharing your new business idea with friends, or you're introducing your new partner, or you're just stepping out of your comfort zone and you're going to give a toast at your best friend's wedding, you are going to feel vulnerable. And that does not mean you're doing it wrong. It actually means you're doing it exactly right. And a lot of times when that red color begins to present itself, people freak out. And they're like, cancel, 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 close all doors. But if you sit with that red and really let it teach you and guide you, that vulnerability is it's like a sweet spot. It's so, so, so lovely. Gold and yellow are people who are coming up with business ideas. Green would be a creative idea. I mean, every color can represent a transformation of sorts. So it sort of depends on how it's presenting itself.
So interesting. I feel like whenever I do like deep meditation, I'm always seeing like it's almost like a hot pink, but it's almost like a magenta. Like it could
Yeah.
be
Oh,
magenta.
so magenta is a color of ascension because you don't see it often. It's a combination of colors, and magenta is about courage.
Wow.
It takes courage to have a podcast, or you just said you wrote a book to share your message with the world. It takes courage, if I may say, to break the abuse cycle from a family of origin. That takes a lot of courage to call it out. And
Yeah.
you've become very good at calling it out if you see people being mistreated. And so magenta is that like calling upon that inner side of you, that courageous part of you and being on the front line.
That is amazing. Well, tell me, so most of us, right? I mean, well, actually, even before I go there, you built this career that kind of blends that psychic insight with more like actionable coaching. So how do you bridge these two worlds? Because this is so interesting because there's sort of an intuition that you're talking about, but then there's like a practicality where you're kind of helping someone from stuck to aligned. So how do you blend those two things?
Well, it's rooted in personal disappointment because I have bought every crystal you could for success. I have feng shuied my house for relationships. I've done all of the things, and I just sit there being like, not taking action in a 3D sense.
Yes.
All. And so what I learned is that intuitively, if you speak to an intuitive or even a life coach, a lot of times what we're reading is like potential, like you have these potentials inside of you. And that potential needs to be bridged into the third dimension. So I might predict that I see someone writing a book, or I might predict that I see someone launching a business, but then I'm going to try and give you some of the tools. And it's really sometimes the simple baby steps that actually move energy in your life.
Mhm.
So this is just personal experience. I didn't meet my husband because my third chakra was clear, and my husband because I was dating and I was out there and I was being vulnerable. I didn't write my first book because I lit the right candle. I had been rejected, Liz, so many times by publishers. You could have wallpapered my house. That same book went into auction with 3 major publishers because I kept trying
Yes.
and listening to the feedback and making adjustments. And so I have a really fun life, and everybody deserves a really fun life. So I'm just a big believer in spinach and brownies. Spinach are the nutrients, right? The things that we have to
Love it.
do, and brownies is the fun stuff.
I swear that's your next book, Spinach and Brownies. I mean, I don't know what you're even doing. Let's go. Let's write that right now. So true though, because like it's that kind of balance of that, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So this is balance of like not being so woo that you're up in the clouds and you never leave your house. And so you never actually meet the person that you
Right.
want to actually be with.
Yes.
There's also not like, I'm going to date everyone and people are going to kill me, right? Like, it's kind of like, it's that balance between like your humanness and your 5D, 6D, 7D self where that you have to kind of, you're right, there has to be actionable results and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do really simple things. Like when I make a vision board, I use a cork board, and I used to like paint things down and glue them down, but that energy doesn't move, and energy moves. So if I have a big goal on a cork board that's going to take me months or even years to achieve, I weave in small goals too. And it can be as simple as maybe I see a new restaurant and I write down on a piece of paper, David and I go to this new restaurant, and I post it on the board. And then when I go to the new restaurant, I come back and I check it off on the board because that energy is moving and changing. So sometimes it's the smallest little goals that teach your brain, I can do this, I can have a vision, I can take action, it can become a reality, to build your muscles to be stronger, to get those bigger goals out in the world as well.
I love that. I love that. I believe in that too. Tell me about, I work with a lot of women 40 and up.
Mm.
I'm sure you work with this zone of person because I met you through this zone of person. So I know you know these people. What do you think that biggest block, like what's something common you see in women 40, 50, 60, 70, even 80 that you kind of help them through?
There's one aura color that was really hard for me to understand in the beginning, and I would mostly see it around mothers. And usually you have 1, maybe 2, 3 colors, but sometimes someone would come to me and I'd see a sparkle of pink and a sparkle of blue and a sparkle of green, and I'd see all of these colors starting to radiate. And I realized it reminded me of diamonds. Like if someone's wearing a diamond ring or earrings, it sparkles different colors. And I realized when someone has this different sparkling energy, it's because they wear multiple hats during the day. Mothers know this. to the core of their being. You
Yes.
wake up, you're a chef, a teacher, you're a chauffeur, you're a negotiator, you're a mediator, all of these things. And it's expected and understood that you will pivot. You know, if dad makes breakfast, it's like, oh my God, dad's making breakfast. Dad's helping clean the house. Like nobody does that with a mom. It's just expected that you're going to be a medic immediately. And so women have this ability to be a chameleon and adapt to an environment, which, by the way, on the surface sounds like a lovely blessing. However, if we look at the shadow side of that, if we're constantly adapting and constantly adjusting to the needs or the temperature of the room, sometimes we come to a place where we start to wonder, but who am I? Like, what is my unified voice? Where's the moment that everyone gets to see me integrated? And you know, we're in such an interesting era in the world right now where I feel like the feminine voice is so necessary.
Yes.
The energy of empathy, compassion, integrity, and skill all at the same time. This is a skill set that I think women have really, really naturally, and their intuition. Women are given way more permission than intuition than men are. It's like, I don't know why it's seen as a feminine quality, which isn't necessarily true. So a lot of times women in their 40s and 50s come to me because they've done so much, but their energy feels a little bit diluted. So one of the things that we work on is how do we unify the voice? And what's interesting from an energy perspective is that's quite literal, right? We've got the brain and the heart, and the bridge between the brain and the heart is the throat. So a lot of times women in their 40s start to feel this desire to express themselves in some way. Maybe it's a creative endeavor or writing or healing or teaching. We want to follow that voice. You've studied so many different areas of life. You're so capable in so many different ways. That's the era where things start to unify and people really find their strength as a leader. And we need female leaders more than ever, like more than ever.
Oh my God, we do. Do you know the name of my book?
I do not.
Finding Your Diamonds.
Oh, I love that.
So how weird is that?
How cool is that?
So when you were talking about women as diamonds, right? And that you or these mothers and all these colors, I describe it as you got to find the diamonds in the ashes of your life, right? You can't just say, oh my God, my life has just been like I haven't expressed myself and I have been doing everything for these kids and I've been working in a job I actually hate, even though I'm paid and I'm good at it, right? Like all the different things.
Yeah.
You have to go back and sift through some of the past and use your past as a tool, because that's what it is, and to find the diamonds in your life. So it's this whole book about my life and like everything I've been through, but with all these little like exercises and tools and things that you can use to change your life. So it's so wild. When you were saying diamond, I was like, yep.
And I think oftentimes in society sort of picks like one aspect of a woman's personality that they want them to be. And you know what was interesting? So when Radley Valentine, who's an angel expert, we created our Oracle deck together.
Okay.
I brought the color expert, he brought the angels. And one of the colors we got to was silver, which is Archangel Haniel, which is typically seen in female form. And I kept saying, this is the only time Rad and I disagreed. I kept saying that I wanted Haniel to be really sexy. And he was like, absolutely not. An angel is not going to be sexy. And I said, that's not fair. Why is it Archangel Michael always looks like he's on the cover of like a romance novel? And like you can see his chest and this like long flowing hair. And I was like, and why do the female archangels have to like have like cuffs up to their neck and their sleeves to their wrists?
Very pious.
Right. So we designed Haniel to look gorgeous and she's stunning and she's covered in silver and she's sexy and she's strong and she's smart and she can be all of the things. And I remember the Zoom with him. He was like, all right, you're right. He was like, I gotta. But it was like our only. And so I don't think we even realize, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this in many ways, like I have to look at my own bias, that there's this sort of belief system or archetypes of what we're supposed to think a woman is supposed to be. And I just think this is an era where you can be all of those things. You can be sexy and smart and creative and skillful and a business person and all of those things. And that's why I love Diamond Energy so much.
I mean, that's just amazing. I love everything you just said. So most of us are kind of, choosing colors, but we're not doing it consciously. Like,
yeah, right.
I mean, I do. I feel like I love color. I'm always the one in color. I have a gay man's closet. There's a lot of sparkle. There's a lot going on in there. And I love it, right? And I love to like wear a color I haven't worn in a long time, or like, and it's so funny too. I don't know if you do this, but I treat inanimate objects like they're actually like animated object. Like I'll see a shirt and I'm like, girl, I have not worn you in so long.
Right.
And even though I don't even know if I like this color, I'm going to just put it on one last time before I give you away, just because I want to make sure. Like,
I don't want you to feel left out.
Maybe we're good. I don't know. We might like each other. But how can we use color, like just as, first of all, I want to hear about all the things you offer, but how can we use color in our own lives more intentionally to kind of bring clarity or confidence? Or is it about like a color that feels good to us? Or is it more like kind of being curious about other colors, right? And kind of opening your mind to more?
I definitely encourage people to explore colors they don't like. Once people hear what I do and the philosophy, they love to tell me the colors that they love, which is easy. I'm more curious about the colors that you're triggered by, because that's really where the wisdom is. So if there's a color in your closet that you'd never wear, you really sort of want to think about that, embrace it a little bit. It also has to do with the city. Like when I lived in Manhattan, in New York City, I wore more earth tones because earth tones are grounding. So it pulls your energy in. Once I got to LA, it was like, well, what about orange? And let's feel like pink, like, because there's literally more space. The reason I like color as a spiritual tool is because if I go to a meditation and they're like, your third chakra is not clear, even though I've been doing this for years, I'm like, oh, what does that mean? What's that supposed to feel like? But if you tell me that if I visualize purple, that will help me become more of a leader and to stand up straight and to be more confident in my voice, my brain can accept that. And then if you tell me that if I wear a purple shirt, it will remind me of that energy, my brain's like, okay,
Makes sense.
I'm going to give that a shot.
Yeah.
So it's a tangible thing that we can do that reminds us of our energy. Or earlier you were talking about your client who's like, I've got a 444 on the clock.
I got to clap 3 times.
Right. If you don't have your tools, like I might put a piece of rose quartz in my pocket to remind myself about self-love. But what if I forget rose quartz and I get to an environment where I'm feeling triggered? I can close my eyes and no one can take away my power of vision. I can always visualize pink in my mind's eye. So the way you decorate your home, what colors you choose for a party, what you wear on a first date, a job interview, whatever it is, it all has vibration and it all has meaning. It's always important for me to say that if you have a cultural or religious connection to color that's different from my definitions, I always want you to go with that.
Yes.
It's so unique and it's so personal. And so the universe is going to speak to you however they're going to speak to you. And you can even assign it, like you can make your own sort of map of color and definitions. But if you use it as a tool, it's like an affirmation. This is the color that I'm invoking today. This is the meaning that I'm giving behind it. And this is what I'm trying to shift and change about my energy. It's pretty darn powerful, in my opinion.
Wow, that is incredible. So this is what I really want to know. So you live with this husband.
Yeah.
What does your husband do?
So my husband used to be a makeup artist, but about, how long has it been now? Maybe 15 years ago, my business was really growing. So now we run our company together.
Okay.
And so we travel the world doing spiritual events and online courses and all that sort of stuff, but we work together.
Okay. So how do you, because this to me is fascinating, right? Because you work together. This is even like more intimacy because it's like business and all the things. How do you and your husband keep your energy fields kind of clear, but you're connected in partnership, but you give him his space, but because you're both kind of like in this together, but he needs his own kind of balanced energy and his own space. So how do you make that work?
I mean, we're really blessed. We've been together for 23 years. We've been married for 18 years. And he is the most don't get me crying, but he is the most remarkable person that I know. My business was doing really well, but I had a very myopic viewpoint of it. And it was David's idea to do at the time, it was on free conference call. And he was like, what if you did a class on free conference call and people called in and listened? And you want to talk about a trauma response, Liz? I was like, you don't get me. I'm a speaker. I need the energy of a room. You don't understand. Well, if we didn't have hundreds of people, he also wanted to do an early bird discount. And I was like, what am I, Costco? Like, you don't do an early bird discount. We had hundreds of people call in to listen to me speak on the phone. And I still like couldn't figure it out. He helped me write my second book, Hey House to Not Let call him out. They didn't let me put his name on the cover, which I didn't understand why. But the truth is, he 100% helped me write my second book and helped me understand the idea. It was his idea when he said, well, I don't see color around people, but what if you like held onto it or put it in your pocket or used it in clothes? And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. So his voice is like so incredible and so phenomenal and such an incredible perspective in the business. And he's seen so much, like our clients know him and he's very, very visible at events. So he stands on his own as part of, owner of our company.
Mhm.
And he has other things as well that, that he loves and other talents, but he was a makeup artist. So color is a real foundation of makeup.
Yes.
Right. So he's incredible. We are a big believer in our house, though, because I need this often, Liz. When we become friends, you'll hear me say this a lot. Where the big question is, did you want feedback right now or did you want
Do you want me to say something or you want me to shut the heck up? Which
That's right. And guys, I'm going to disappoint all of you or get prepared. It's most 99.9% of the time, I need you to be quiet. I have to bite my tongue.
just listen.
Exactly. So we know how to hold space for each other. It's really important for me to, I get a lot of attention for my work. It's a natural thing. So it's really important for me to bring my aura back and let David shine in ways that he needs to shine. And the foundation of our relationship is the most important part. I have turned down many people wanted to follow us with cameras. And I have said, no, 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 no.
I would be one of those people. I would want
Yeah.
to follow you with a camera and be
Yeah.
like, what is happening over here? I need to know.
It's very, I'm the most proud in my life of our relationship. We work really hard on it. When we first met, it was a hookup. I gave him a fake name and a fake career. I told him my name was Sean and I worked in advertising.
Love it.
And then I opened the door and I made eye contact with him and I heard in my head, you will marry him. And so I immediately had to say, well, my name isn't Sean. So it was sort of born from this like carnal, like young gay guys just like having a night in the city. And, 23 years later, we just had this lovely life together.
I mean, what a damn story. What a damn story. I love this. And I love that he's involved that way, like that he actually expands you a little bit and expands your kind of view of things and offers you things that you're like,
Oh,
actual hell. But then it ends up being this exponential growth. It's amazing.
everything you see, if you go to my website, David makes me look a cajillion times fancier than I would ever look. It's just not my skill set. If you said, Dougall, I have 500 people in the room next to us. Can you go speak for 45 minutes? Easy peasy. Dougall, can you go edit a reel for Instagram? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, 100% no.
David is like a technological whiz and he's just good at it. So I'm very, very lucky. Actually, a lot of our clients will say, I need a David. And we've thought of selling t-shirts that say, I need a David.
I need a David. 100%. You would make a mint on that right there. Okay, so tell me, who has been sort of a mentor to you or a sort of, I know you just said you met some of these spiritual teachers and they're throwing water. And you know what's funny about that? I actually, one of my mentors, like I kind of, I got to see kind of the behind the curtain side. And at first I was like, oh, you're a human too?
Yeah.
But now I realized like it actually makes me feel closer to people. Just
Me too.
knowing how human
That's exactly
all
right.
are. Like Tony Robbins is a human being. Mel
Oh.
Robbins is a human being.
She's
Oprah.
but wait. Mel Robbins is lovely. She's the most like I always give like on, off, lovely, good energy, like so incredibly lovely. Marianne Williamson, who I know,
Yes.
who kept lovely, like so powerful.
Lovely.
I am a huge fan of Mary. Every time I'm in the presence of her, like I start shaking. You know who Alan Cohen is?
No.
Oh my God. You guys, anybody listening? Alan Cohen is the most lovely man. He's also a Hay House author. He's written like 33 books or something like that. He's a big believer in A Course in Miracles, and he's just a kind man.
I'm writing it down.
Bradley Valentine and I are good friends. Colette Baron-Reed is just absolutely stunning. John Holland, I adore. So there's lots of spiritual teachers out there that I really love. But like Alan Cohen, like one day I got a knock on the door and there was a delivery and he had written about me in his book and I practically like passed out.
Oh, 100%.
And I think I was interviewed on like Hay House Radio and I said some quote and he loved the quote and he put it in his book. And I was just like, oh my God. And he's just like the coolest guy. He's just like really sweet. But, as a kid, those are Barbara Brennan. I loved her book, Hands of Light. So those are the things I studied as a kid and just really looked up to. And, I'm a real consumer of new age content.
I love it. I love it. So what's next for you now? Or what's kind of lighting you up or kind of fueling you, or what are you kind of curious about right now?
So this may sound like a weird answer. Well, personally, I'm terrible at selling myself, but what I've noticed for myself, and this is just for anybody listening, is the next step for me is that I've gotten to a place where I really trust myself. I've been doing this for nearly 30 years and I have a solid, really lovely, prosperous business. And I don't have to be in this like state of like, "Oh, I've got to create the next content. What am I going to do?" Like I'm at this comfortable stride that's really, really lovely. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm genuinely only selecting things that make my heart sing. Like Bradley Valentine and I are doing a cruise next week with like 75 people, and we're going to talk about angels and we're going to talk about auras. And then we go to Japan, which I love teaching in Japan. Ooh. And then next May, so I've been working in Japan for like 10 years because I had a past life in Japan. It's like a whole thing. And I love it. So we have a Japanese side of our business where we do events in
Oh,
Japanese.
wow.
Japanese weddings.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then 2 years ago, like on one trip, I said to David one day, I was like, isn't there like a possibility that we could invite English speaking participants and blend them with Japanese participants? And we did it 2 years ago. And Liz, it was like bonkers crazy. It was so hard. Like it was so intense. But on the last day, when we were sitting at the base of the mountain where Reiki energy was grounded and created, and we had 14 American participants and we had 14 Japanese participants, and we were eating a Buddhist, vegan, vegetarian meal, and we had translators, and everybody was trying to connect, I just burst into tears.
Oh,
And so we're doing another version of that in May 2026. And I just love this, like, I'm really moved right now by listening to people talk from a different perspective. Like, what's it like to be female? What's it like to be non-binary? What's it like to be this religion? What's it like to be that religion? Like, how can we all break bread, share a meal, and just listen to each other? That's what really, really, really inspires me.
I mean, I love that because after doing this for as long as you have, it's so incredible that you are following like just curiosity. Like, I don't need to be over here worried about the machine that is behind me and like, right? Because that whole thing is just, it makes everything feel so heavy and draggy. And I
Yeah.
love that you're like, no, even if it's clunky, even if it's messy, I would rather be in the messiness that brings me to tears because I
Right.
see the just humanity of it all versus like killing myself for $1, right?
Well,
So
I'm a high school
amazing.
dropout, and David always says I act like I'm like rolling cigarettes up in my sleeve. Like I just went straight to high school, but I have a GED. But for a while, I was like, if I write another book, I'll feel accomplished. If I get a TV show, I'll feel like all this-
Chase.
yeah, like ridiculous. It's all been inside the entire time, and so I've really hit my groove with that, which is given me the ability to hold space for other people to like find that groove at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're a beacon for people like that who probably have some fuckery of like, oh God, I don't have a degree or I don't know what I'm doing or, I mean, really, you've just really kind of followed a path of just being curious and let's see what happens.
Exactly.
How can people play with you? What can we do? What is all the things we can do?
So I guess you can go to my website, which is dougallfraser.com. I'm on all the things except for TikTok. It dysregulates me. I don't like it. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Or what I'd really love, my sweet spot is we take our newsletter really, really seriously. So if you sign up for our newsletter, I promise it will be heart forward and I'll do my best to give you content that makes you feel good.
Okay, amazing. But if someone wants to work with you, what's a kind of like first step somebody can take with you? Because I know you like do all these big things. Do you work with people one-on-one? Is there a course that they can take with you? Or is it really like the book is sort of the lead in? What's sort of like the dipping the toe? How do I dip my toe with Dougall?
So I don't really do as many private sessions as I used to. I probably do about 30 a year. So we have a waiting list for that and we release them twice a year. I have an online community called the Cosmic Community. Doors open in December. Every month we do an online call where you get a lesson, we have an intention, there's a color connected to it and a recorded meditation. I do live coaching and readings. How else can people find me? I do online classes. My color certification program is on now where I teach people how to use color as a coaching method. I don't know, there's a lot. I don't know
Okay,
what
well,
to
we're
say.
gonna go. I'm gonna put it all in there, and people can go in there and kind of like study you and be with you. But thank you so much for doing
My
it.
pleasure. This was fun.
This was so fun, and I love how absolutely real and vulnerable that you are. It's so refreshing. You just have like zero pretense. Like you're just so open and honest, and so you have such a kind of lovely. Like, I feel so kiddish with you. Like, I feel like little girlish with you. Like, you're just so, your energy is so awesome. So I just
Thank you.
appreciate you and everything. And I also appreciate you showing up and doing this kind of work that is so interesting and different, and that you just trust that this is like part of your, like, your ability, like you're saying. I think it's incredible.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate it. Lovely interview. I really respect what you do, and I hope to get to know you more. I think that'd be fun.
Yes. Well, I'm going to find other ways to play with you. Trust. I know you're busy, but I will find ways.
Okay, cool.
But thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Liz. I appreciate it.